Hello, and welcome to Everything Explained. Today we're answering a question you may have heard a lot about, especially during political headlines. What is a U.S. government shutdown, and why does it happen? First, a shutdown isn't some sudden collapse of the country. It's a funding problem. Every year, Congress writes and passes 12 funding bills that decide how federal agencies can spend money. The president signs them into law. If those funding bills aren't approved by the deadline, the government loses the legal authority to spend, and many programs stop funding. That pause is what people call a government shutdown. To keep it simple, imagine a very large family budget. You plan what you'll spend this year, you monitor the bank balance, and you arrange monthly payments. If you miss a payment deadline, you may have to pause non-essential spending while you figure out the next step. In Washington, that's what happens when no funding bills get through on time. Non-essential government activities halt, employees are asked to stay home, and services you rely on may slow down or stop. Why do these deadlines happen? The U.S. fiscal year begins on October 1st. Each year, lawmakers debate how much money goes to defense, science, veterans, parks, the IRS, and thousands of other programs. Sometimes lawmakers disagree about how much to spend or which policies should be included in the funding bills. If they can't agree by the deadline, Congress may pass a temporary measure called a continuing resolution to keep the government running at current levels while talks continue. If no agreement is reached, a shutdown follows. During a shutdown, some parts of the government keep working. Essential responsibilities like air traffic safety, national security, and emergency responses still operate. The people who run those programs are considered essential and continue to work, sometimes without pay until funding is restored. The rest of the government slows down or stops. You might see national parks close, visa appointments get delayed, and museums or loan programs pause. Government websites may run slower, and grant money or research projects can stall. It can touch everyone. If you or a family member works for the federal government, you'll feel it directly. If you don't, you'll still notice the ripple effects in services and prices. A few shutdowns stand out in history because they were unusually long or dramatic. In 2013, a 16-day shutdown affected many agencies and created delays in tax refunds, research funding, and national park access. In 2018 to 2019, the longest shutdown in history at 35 days, many people felt the disruption across the economy and public services. Earlier, the 1995 to 1996 shutdowns lasted about 3 weeks and became a defining moment in U.S. politics between President Clinton and Speaker Gingrich. Each shutdown had its own root cause: funding fights, immigration policy, or broader disputes about the size and scope of government. The common thread is simple: when the money and the policy goals aren't aligned, the government can spend weeks without working at full capacity. What are the consequences, though? Economically, shutdowns slow growth and waste resources because people aren't producing while contractors aren't paid on time. The effects aren't always immediate for everyone, but the uncertainty can ripple through hiring plans, travel, and research. For ordinary citizens, services like passport processing, visa applications, or even visits to national museums may be delayed. For federal workers, pay can be delayed, and for many small businesses that rely on government services, the disruption can be costly. On the upside, essential services keep going, and some agencies can resume work quickly once funding passes. So why does this keep happening? Part of it is structural. The budget process is a powerful tool for political bargaining. October 1st comes and goes, and if lawmakers can't agree, a temporary funding patch buys time for more negotiations. The other part is policy disagreement: immigration, defense, healthcare, or spending priorities, getting wrapped into a funding bill. The fix isn't glamorous, but it's practical, timely, bipartisan budgeting and a willingness to separate must-fund now from policy fights that can wait. If you're listening, you now know the basics. A shutdown is a funding lapse caused by political gridlock, and it affects real people and real services. It's not inevitable, but it's a reminder that democracy requires steady negotiation even when it's messy. Thanks for joining Everything Explained. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and remember that how we handle disagreement helps shape the country we become.